Alright, this is a first video for the strategic design unit. Learning goals for this unit: I want you to understand all rules and scoring for this year's competition. I want you to develop a competition strategy that'll go in your engineering notebook. And I want you to have knowledge about how to create a cost-benefit analysis. So, this year's game is called Starstruck. Star, not stare. Now, I'm not going to go over the specific rules in this video because I want you to find out what they are. So here are some things I want you to find out. First off, how many scoring points are available? I want you to know or find out the dimensions of the field, whether or not there are any obstacles, how to score points, and then what are the safety rules? What are the what are the general game rules? What are the specific game rules? I want you to understand how the tournament is ran, and what are the robotic rules. I have some printouts of the PDF file for this year's competition. You can also get that PDF if you want on the internet, and then you can just download it on your phone or whatever. So these are things I want you to find out, and when I give you a quiz, I might ask you some questions like, how many drivers are allowed to operate the single robot? How many motors you're allowed to have on a robot? Things like that. So I want you to go through and look up those rules and become familiar with those rules. When you do your engineering notebook, then you can quote some of the rules just as a way to let the judges know that you have read them and you understand them. All right, the next part I want to talk about is how to make a competition strategy. This is your playbook. So it's a strategy, it's a plan to win matches. The plan must obey all the rules, be easy to understand, and it should help your team score the maximum number of points. So when you go into a competition, you never want to wing it. You want to know exactly what you're going to do before you do it. So you want to know exactly which piece you're going to go for first. You want to know exactly what your autonomous code will do, all that stuff. So some things I want you to have in your strategy. First off, a list of actions for the robot to perform. I want the driver to know exactly where the robot is going to go at the start of the match, whether or not they're going to make a left turn or right turn, if they're just going to go straight. But I want to have a list of actions for the robot to perform. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but it should be fairly detailed. Also, you need to include questions, such as, how would we play against a faster robot? How would we play if we're losing by a lot early on? So with your team, try to create a whole list of questions. These are basically scenarios that you need to consider if you find yourself in that scenario. The next part to your strategy is scouting. So the way the tournament works is initially, in the preliminaries, you are paired up at random with another robot to play a match. It's a 2 versus 2 match. After the preliminaries, if you're in the top 8, you get to choose your own alliance. So you want to do your scouting. You want to know who the other teams are, who are the other stronger teams, so that if you're in the top 8, you can go through and you can say, okay, well, this team over here, they had a good robot. It would pair well with ours. We need to make sure they're on our alliance for the actual tournament itself. So some things to look for when you are scouting other robots. First, robot functionality. How well does that robot move? Can it pick up different sized objects? Oftentimes the games have pieces that are different size, so can it pick up different sized objects? How well does a robot score points? Or how does a robot score points? And there's a few more questions you can ask about robotic functionality. The next thing is the robot's behavior. So, first thing, how many points do they score per match? How do they start or end a match? You know, is there some sort of maneuver that they always perform? Those are some things you want to pick up on. What is their general strategy? You probably won't be able to get their strategy point by point, but you should have a good idea for how that other team performs. When do they like to score points? And finally, I want your team to make some sort of scouting sheet, something that you can put on a clipboard and take with you. We can talk a little more in a little more detail about format for the scouting sheets, but this is something that you'll give me before the match. I'll print them off, give them to you at the competition, then you'll send scouts around to talk with other teams, and then just kind of fill out the scouting sheet. And you'll see other students doing the same thing from other schools and other teams. Okay, the next thing I want to talk with you about is the team roles. First off, we have the driver. This is the person who is responsible for operating the robot. Ideally, I would like to have 2 drivers per team, just in case someone can't make it to a match, or if someone has to get something to eat and the robot gets called up to play a match. I'd like to have 2 competent drivers. The next person is the lead strategist. This is the person who decides the strategy. When you play a match, you're allowed to have 3 people standing up by the field. So one person is the driver, the other person is the lead strategist. This person, the lead strategist, will guide the driver during the match. Oftentimes, during a match, the driver tends to get tunnel vision because you're just so focused. So the lead strategist helps out, like, hey, make a left and pick up that piece or something like that. Just an extra set of eyes. And finally, the lead strategist will take input from the scouts. The next part is the pit crew. Really, everyone is going to be a member of the pit crew. So the pit crew is going to be making the people who make fixes or improvements between matches. They have to work fast. Sometimes you only get a couple matches or a couple games, maybe like a couple minutes of a break between matches. So the pit crew needs to be able to work fast. They're going to observe the robot's performance during the match. So as I said before, you're allowed to have 3 people by the ring. So that's going to be the driver, the lead strategist, and then I want one member of the pit crew. That way, one person's driving it, the other person's helping guide the driver, the third person is solely focused on the robot so that they can see if a part is coming undone or just to look for the performance. And then finally, modify the computer program as needed. Scouts, again, really everyone is a member of the pit crew and the scouts. These are the people who are going to gather information about the other teams. And the scouts are going to work with the lead strategist to make changes to the competition strategy. So there you have it. These are the roles. The lead strategist, I think over time, as you guys work, there's going to be one individual that just kind of stands out and naturally takes lead over the group. The drivers, again, I'd like to have at least 2, and then every person's a member of the pit crew. Every person is a member of the scouts. So these are just some of the roles that I want you to fulfill during the competition itself. All right, this concludes our video 1.